Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. This is the uh, Impact review for the 30th of June 2022. BTI pre-show. Digital Media Champion Rich Swann defeats Raj Singh with Shura in a non-title match on the pre-show. Opening video recaps last week's dominance by Honor No More. Briscoe's being injured. Also, backstage, America's Most Wanted and the Good Brothers are discussing a bad idea, following it up with greeting Honor No More. PCO attempting to make PCO realize that he wasn't appreciated by Honor No More. Vincent interrupts and leads PCO away. Obviously, that's going to lead to a split at some point. Trey Miguel defeats Chris Bay. Laredo Kid, Steve McLean, four-way to receive an X Division title match at Against All Odds. After a stalemate, Macklin is outnumbered, takes down all three of his opponents. Macklin then sends the outside unnecessarily, and then Miguel attempts a comeback but misses a corner dive and gets caught with a tree of woe before Macklin sees the opportunity, catches him with the in his crosshairs. Bay and Kid attempt to get back into the match, but that's cut off pretty quickly as well. Macklin's opponents are frustrated. Bay and Miguel decide to double team him and manage to gain the upper hand by knocking him off the ring apron after Trey lands a Anamrana. Miguel then attempts to let him go after Bay, but then instead tries to meet him with a quick kick on the in the face, but then Bay hits him before Kid launches himself into a torpedo and goes to the outside, further wiping out Macklin and Miguel too. Then, not satisfied with the landing, and there's a spring sword moonsault to the floor on all three. Before tossing Kid back into the ring, Bay misses out on the art of finesse, and Kid rolls him up for near fall. Miguel then gets sent to the outside. Bay can't capitalize for very long, but then there's a running Meteora hit by Miguel in the corner, getting a victory for himself and the X Division title shot at the network event. Promo airs featuring Raven, upcoming Clockwork Orange House of Fun match against all odds between Moose and Sami Callihan tomorrow night. Jalise Shaw defeats Rosemary with Tyra Valkyrie. Before the match, both Madison Rayne and Neil Dashwood joined on commentary. Match begins and both women attempt to gain an upper hand. Neither really go that far, and before the commercial break, the Influence has a bit of a leading hand. Back from the break, Shaw is inside the ring, lands a clothesline, and nails Rosemary. Shaw continues to capitalize, running Rosemary and keeping her at bay. Action begins to go back and forth. Shaw is able to land a cutter for a near fall. Rosemary follows up with an inverted DDT for a 2 count. The Influence then left commentary, and Rayne focuses Rosemary on things. Valkyrie steps away, and then after a concerned Rosemary looks on and attempts to hit Shaw with a spear, Shaw then meets her with a solid knee to the face and lights out for her, and Shaw gets the victory. Backstage, Gia Miller and Mickie James are together. Miller asks her about her upcoming match tomorrow night against all odds, but she's interrupted by Chelsea Green and Deanna Purrazzo. Green and Purrazzo state that James is narcissistic and James attacked both of them before Mia Yim arrives, evening the odds. Backstage, Rosemary is digging into her purse. Taya Valkyrie before happily finding a pendant. Rosemary then recited some Latin before Father James Mitchell appears. Rosemary questions Mitchell and his whereabouts of Havoc, and Mitchell stated she wasn't coming back to this world. Jordana Grace defeats Savannah Evans with Tasha Steelz in a non-title match. Bell rings. Evans immediately uses her power. But both women are back inside the ring after brawling on the outside. Grace comes up in the air with a chokehold before landing a double underhook suplex. Grace decks her with Evans and finally gets things going and the momentum going her way, and nailing Evans with a muscle buster for the victory. Steelz looks on. Short and sweet contest doesn't go their way. Promo airs of on the legend of Joe Doring in All Japan Pro Wrestling, and what his challenge means for Josh Alexander. Backstage, GM Miller is busted up with a busted up Impact World Champion Josh Alexander. Alexander reflects on his victory over Eric Young. That's Slammiversary, and then Violent by Design lays out a beatdown on Josh, and then Alexander's going into the pay-per-view or the network per-view in a bad space. Good Brothers, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson with James Storm defeat Honor No More, PCO, and Vincent with Eddie Edwards, Kenny King, Maria Kanellis, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett to win the World Tag Team Championships. And, I mean, ultimately, this is your typical multi-person match. Anderson and Vincent start things off. Anderson goes with a flurry. Vincent makes the tag, and PCO begins to dominate the match with pure power. Vincent then tags out, and commentary remains. Vincent then is hanging out with PCO and trying to defend his involvement with things. Vincent then nails Anderson with a flatliner and a 2 count. PCO tags back into the match. Vincent follows PCO's offense because he goes on a bit of a running wild run with a chinlock before Anderson is able to land a spinebuster and make the tag off to Gallows. Doc goes nuts, House of Fire. Vincent then gets an opportunity to capitalize, heads the top rope and attempts to nail a swanton, misses. Anderson then sees the opportunity and rolls him up. Vincent then gets a 1-2-3. Good Brothers retain the tag team champions. After the match, Honor No More attack the Good Brothers and James Storm before Chris Harris hits the ring, and ultimately Storm is questioning the antics of Harris when things go in that direction. Backstage, Good Brothers, America's Most Wanted, and Heath share some words. For Honor No More, tomorrow night against all odds, they promise to do damage. Harris stated that he's number 5 before James Storm questioning his decision. Harris stated that he's in the best condition physically and mentally that he's ever been in. Tomorrow is his time to shine. Ace Austin with Chris Bay defeats Alex Zane. Before the match, commentary announced Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns, will face Austin and Bay tomorrow at Against All Odds. So why is this match booked here? Match between Austin immediately took off to the outside. Zane chases him around. Back from commercial break, Austin is in control and sends Zane into the ring post before the break. After Austin failed to slow things down, Zane then leads to a series of attacks. Zane then heads to the top rope, but Austin manages to roll away and starts gaining momentum of his own, lands a series of kicks before attempting the fold, but then fails. Bay looks on, both men are down, and both men get back to their feet at the count of 8 before Austin retreats to the outside. Zane nails both men on the outside and moonsaults before he can capitalize. Bay then distracts him while Austin tied up the referee. Zane then returned to the ring. Hungry, Austin nailed Zane with a fold for the victory. Chris Sabin with Alex Shelley defeats Frankie Kazarian. And then, before the match, there is a Tracy Brooks is seated ringside and acknowledged by commentary. Brian Hebner is the referee tonight's main event and celebrate his final match in pro wrestling. Hashtag thank you, Brian. Hebner is back and back and forth, and the bell comes. Impact Wrestling stands for 2 men help put Impact on the map, and they're main eventing tonight's episode. Kazarian begins focusing on his size and power. Sabin is in trouble, and Kaz begins breaking things out. Once again, back and forth, neither man gaining much of an advantage. Kazarian helps land Sabin on the top rope and fails to capitalize. Sabin follows up and fails to capitalize as well. Kazarian lands Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count, followed by a tornado DDT. Kazarian then nails a cutter from the outside and manages to count Sabin, followed up with a cradle shock for the 2 count, and then destroys Sabin looking forward. Sabin heads the top rope, but Kazarian bumps into the ropes, and Sabin is obviously crouched on the top. Kaz follows up with a superplex and then goes looking to gain momentum. Sabin then locked himself into a pin attempt, but only can manage a 2 count. Both men were not going to the top. Sabin nails Kazarian with the Hail Michigan. Sabin then sends a huge victory over scores a huge victory over his Impact alum. Kaz is excited and hits a cradle shock, solidifying his status as one of the greatest of all time. Um, I don't know. It's definitely a weekend show, but the Against All Odds pay per view the next night wasn't bad, so it is what it is. We'll be back with more right after this.